because you can see that we have this nice slowing momentum right here. We even get a higher low action going on, so the odds of it breaking through that level begin to increase. Hey there, my name is Jason. Welcome back to the channel. We're going to do something today that I think is really, really important. We're going to actually begin to look at charts and analyze charts so that you can know what kind of trades to be getting into. And I don't know what your strategy is, but my strategy and our strategy at Binary Masterclass is real clear support and resistance. And there's a whole reason behind that. There's an entire philosophy and methodology around high quality support and resistance and why it works, what banks are doing, what institutions are doing, what other traders are doing. We teach, of course, all of that in our training. And I'm going to approach this chart analyzing from the perspective of support and resistance trading. And of course, there are lots of different strategies. Some are better than others. Some are kind of based on imaginary lines that don't really do much. And so you really want to be careful not to be jumping into those types of strategies, but something that really has backing in the larger trading arena that lots of people are actually trading. So we're going to jump right into this right now, and we're going to look at charts. I'm going to bring up my trading view, and we usually use MetaTrader 4 for our charting, but TradingView just really allows for some great drawings and stuff. And I'm going to just go down my list. I don't know how many I'll do, but I'll just do a number of these, and we're just going to see what we see. I'm going to analyze the charts. I'm going to show you what I'm seeing, what trades I would probably get into, what trades I would tend to avoid, and why. I'm going to do everything on the 1 hour chart. Not that I actually trade binaries on 1 hour charts. I actually trade them on a 1 minute chart. Lots of reason for that as well. But I'm going to use the 1 hour chart, and the principles are still going to be the same. There's a couple of reasons why I'm using 1 hour chart, but one of the primary reasons is because, you know, at the particular time of day it is, there's really not much to look at with regard to charts. It's just an unfortunate time for when I had the chance to actually make a video right now. And so if I were to bring up the 1 minute chart, you know, there's just not much to see there. There's not much to do with that. I could bring out a little bit, but for the most part, the charts really aren't going to be that great. There's not going to be that exciting and stuff. So I'm going to use the 1 hour chart, but it's also important to remember that charts, they are called they're fractal by nature. What on earth does that mean, a fractal? Well, it's a mathematical term where it means that one part of an object is the same as the larger object as a whole. An example of that would be broccoli. If you look at broccoli and then you break off a little tiny piece of broccoli and you look at them, really the tiny piece of broccoli looks just like a smaller version of the larger piece of broccoli. It's a fractal by nature. There's no way of really knowing if it's a small piece of broccoli or a larger piece of broccoli unless you to really zoom in on it. Now you take like your phone, for example, and you break off a piece of your phone. Well, it's the smaller piece of your phone is not going to look like the larger piece of your phone. It's going to look like a broken piece of a phone. And so the nice thing about charts is they are fractal by nature. So if you look at a 1 minute chart, if you look at a 1 hour chart, or if you look at a one day chart or a 1 week chart or a 1 month chart, they all basically operate the same, but they're just different time frames. So we can really learn the same type of principles. And so if I were looking here at the Aussie CAD, I'm just going to go through these. We're just going to see what happens. If I were to be looking at the Aussie CAD and looking from a perspective of support and resistance, you know, you have that support down here. You also have this next resistance point there, and probably an even better resistance point would be here. And what you're really wanting to be looking for is nice obvious ones. And I don't know that I would be that excited. I mean, one could even say, that's clearly a resistance point there as well. But you know, I wouldn't be that excited to be getting into a put here at this level. You can see this long trend down here. And what's really interesting is you see how that is really slowing momentum there. See that curve that's going on there? That's demonstrating slowing momentum. You can look at that by the distances between supports. The distance between supports on a vertical level, on the y-axis, it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And that's why you have kind of this curve action that's going on here. And that really is slowing momentum. And that slowing momentum oftentimes means that we're going to be getting some kind of a trend change. And it's important that you recognize that a trend change and a trend reversal are not the same thing. A trend change just simply means that the trend is changing. And so you're moving from a downtrend to an uptrend. That would, of course, be a trend change. But there would also be a trend change that if the price is moving down, if it's a downtrend, and then it moves to a sideways trend, that's also a trend change, but not necessarily a trend reversal. So you start getting this slowing momentum after a long move, then you tend to get a trend change. Now, the important thing is you don't know what kind of trend change it's going to be. It might be moving to a sideways trend, or it could be that you start getting a trend reversal. And for a trend reversal, you would actually need to start having a series of higher lows and higher highs. What do I mean by that? Well, you know, here is a low there, there's a low there, there's a low there, and each one of those lows is lower than the previous one. Those are lower lows. Here's another lower low. We also have in this downtrend lower highs. There's a high there, there's a high there, there's a high there, there's a high there, and each of those highs are lower than the previous one. I'm just going to remove my drawings here for a moment, but I am going to bring this one back up so we can clearly see the slowing momentum there. And the thing with a trend, the anatomy of a trend is that the anatomy of an uptrend is that you have higher highs and higher lows. And if you have higher highs and higher lows, then you are in an uptrend. Likewise, if you have lower highs and lower lows, you're in a downtrend. That's important to remember, because if you start, what do you need in order for a trend reversal to happen? Let's say you have a downtrend like we have right here. Well, in order for a trend reversal to happen, you need to start having a higher low, and then once you have a higher low, there becomes a higher probability of having a higher high. Now, what is that higher low then right there going to do? That is going to cause this resistance level to start getting weaker. And when that resistance level starts getting weaker, then you can start having problems if you get into a put at that level. And that's really important to pay attention to, simply because of the anatomy of a trend and the anatomy of a trend change. So here, we don't exactly have, we really do. We have a bit of a higher low right there. Or you could even call that a double bottom. It might even be a double bottom. Well, once you have a double bottom, once you have a higher low, well, then you start getting the possibility of a trend reversal, which means that's going to start weakening that resistance level. So even though we're in a downtrend, I'm not going to be looking to get into puts at a resistance level here. I might consider here, I would definitely consider there, but I wouldn't be looking to get into anything down here. I'd want to wait and just kind of see what happens there a little bit. Okay, so there's the Aussie CAD. Let's go into the Aussie Franc. Aussie Franc, very similar. Very similar. We have that same type of action going on. It's not as obvious, this slowing momentum is what it was on the last one, but you can still really see a slowing momentum type action going on there. We also have this double bottom, or even really arguably a higher low right there. And so I'm not going to be looking to get into any kind of a put at that point, because the market needs to correct itself at least a little bit. So I'm going to be looking maybe get into that one or get into that one where I'd be willing to get into a put. So let's just go on, see what else we've got. Aussie Yen. Now look at this, this is really interesting. Both the Aussie CAD and the Aussie Franc, they were really in pretty clear downtrends. But here I would say we are in some kind of a minor downtrend, but really we're in much more of kind of a sideways market. And you can see here how the price really is paying attention to, let's just look how this market really is paying attention to that nice support level there. It just bounced right off of it. So in this case, I would be willing to get into a put, probably even right there. I'd probably get into that, depending what the market looks like as it's moving up. If that trade doesn't quite work out, then maybe I'd even consider putting another one on right there. If you're trading some kind of maybe a martingale type setup or something. And that's clearly one that I would be looking at. That's a nice, very clear resistance level. Because remember, a lot of people are going to be looking at these, and you want to be getting into trades that a lot of people are going to be looking at. You don't want to be getting into something that is so detailed. You don't want to be getting into some kind of strategy where this exact setting needs to be on the, the RSI needs to be at 14.785, and the stochastics needs to be so detailed in its settings and everything, because you want something that a lot of people are going to be looking at. If you're the only one looking at that trade, then nobody else is going to be placing orders there. And if nobody else is placing orders there, well, guess what? The market's not going to move. You want to be looking at stuff that's obvious, that lots and lots of other people are going to be placing orders at. So those are some nice obvious positions, and I'd really be willing to get into something like that. Let's say here, Aussie, New Zealand. Oh, look at this. This is beautiful. This is precisely what I was saying. Look at this. See, you got the slowing momentum action going on. Price moves up and it creates a resistance, comes down, creates a lower high there, or excuse me, a higher low there. Look at that higher low. Now this right here, that's just a big wick and probably a news event or something like that. And look at what happened. We now have this higher low, and look at what happens. It blows right through this level. It's like that level didn't even exist. Now I'm starting to make this with so many drawings here. It's not even looking very good. Look at that. It's like this level didn't even exist. So if you're a support and resistance trader, you would have lost that trade. But that trade is avoidable. Why? Because you can see that we have this nice slowing momentum right here. We even get a higher low action going on. So the odds of it breaking through that level begin to increase. Now, it doesn't mean you couldn't have gotten a winning trade there. You very well could have gotten a winning trade there, but your probability of getting a winning trade there begins to drop. And so that's what you want to begin to look for. If you're a support and resistance trader, begin to look for stuff like this where you see that price is starting to slow in momentum here. We're getting that higher low, and it's moving toward that level right there. Man, the odds of a trend change here are beginning to increase, which means the odds of a winning trade begin to decrease, which doesn't mean that you'll lose a trade. It just means that the odds of winning a trade begin to decrease. And we want our odds to be in our favor as much as possible. Let's take a look at Aussie dollar. All right, Aussie dollar. This thing's just continuing in its downtrend really pretty strongly. Let's even just look to see what we got. That's an old line from there, from before. Let's just get rid of that line. Goodbye line. I would consider maybe something right here. That's a nice 4-hour level. But it's still got a little ways to go before it gets down to there. But I would really consider, if it gets down to this level, I would get into a call. Make money as that goes up. Otherwise, I'd be looking, maybe kind of getting into something like that, Those are things to be looking at. And these are all things we talk about in the trading room. And I actually go into even more detail in the trading room. Dave goes into even more detail in the trading room as far as what we're looking at. And what's really cool, it's all live. So you see it a lot happening live right in front of you. So you see it's not just theory that we're talking about. It's actually real market dynamics. And that's pretty cool. And then we can actually see as the market shifts, because one of the things you have to understand is about every 45 minutes the market shifts. And so we don't know exactly how the market's going to shift. Nobody's going to know that, but sometimes the market shifts in such a way that support and resistance is no longer respected. And maybe you've been trading your strategy and you notice you trade for a little while, and all of a sudden, no matter what you do, no matter how closely you follow your strategy, it's just not working, just because the market has shifted. And so you got to really be aware of that. That's what most people don't realize. And Yeah, and nobody ever teaches that stuff, but you know, there's all kinds of little things like that that come from professional traders that we're, of course, making available to you in the trading room. And so, yeah, so, you know, maybe we're watching for that there. Let's just jump down to CAD Frank. Ooh, CAD Frank, that's just going really, really sideways. Let's just scroll out just a little bit. What do we got here? Oh, my settings here got off a little bit. I don't know what's going on here. I don't know why. There we go, auto, there we go. All right, so we're kind of going sideways here a little bit. Don't really know what I mean, guess really nothing until kind of down here. Nothing really till, that might be something depending on what happens. You know, that could be a decent level. You know, I've got an entire algorithm that teaches people very, very clearly how to define, very mathematically, very scientific. I mean, really, a drunken monkey can know how to find a high quality support and resistance level. It's just crazy how easy that becomes. And so, you know, because not all support and resistance is created equal. So how can you know which ones are good or not? So we, you know, teach all of that very, very clearly in there, which is really pretty darn cool. And then you never have to worry. You never have to worry if you're actually getting into a good support and resistance level. So, yeah, I mean, I guess, you know, this was just going sideways. Just kind of have to wait for a while. I would say maybe this, possibly that. It's right on that boundary, right on that border if it's going to be a good one or not. CAD yen, probably stay away from anyway. But if I happen to want to trade CAD yen, which, you know, I explain all the reasons why not really to trade CAD yen in the trading room. Dave does as well. You know, we've got that. That would maybe be the place. But I don't know that I'd be going CAD yen anyway. Probably really just wouldn't. This might be an interesting place. I wouldn't go this one. I wouldn't do these. You know, what do we have here? Again, I mean, we really have this this slowing momentum. We got this area. It's trying to break below that. We also have a bit of that lower high right there. It's trying to break down below. So as a result, I really wouldn't be paying attention to that level. We did see it went down. It's already got some profit taken, already some pushing back up in it, and it looks like that's beginning to fail. So I'm not too interested in that level, but I would be interested to see what happens if it comes down here and if it comes down there. I'd be really, really paying attention to that really quite closely. So, but again, for reasons that I'm not going to go into all right now, probably wouldn't be looking at CAD yen. Same thing with franc yen. Yeah, I mean, look at franc yen. Franc yen is just a beast right now. It's been a beast for a while. I mean, look at this franc yen. I mean, look at that franc yen. It's just knowing, you know, and here's the thing is that a lot of people, they begin to take trades based on it's gone too far. Well, I mean, look at franc yen, CAD yen. I guarantee you that many of you have blown your accounts because you've been trading franc yen. And you've been thinking, oh, it can't go any further than that. And guess what? It did, and you blew your account. That's really unfortunate. Well, I've done it. We've all done it. But, you know, I've been trading for 17 years. And so I've been through a few of those. So I totally understand what's happened. And I feel bad for you. I mean, it's never fun. It's never fun. But it's all recoverable. And eventually you'll just be able to laugh about it. I guess maybe I'd look kind of into this one. There's some other support levels up here, but I wouldn't consider them to be very strong. Yeah, nothing really there to see, but except you do really see this slowing momentum action going on. But the problem is, it is the franc yen. So how do you know when the franc yen is actually done with its thing? Because look at here, I mean, franc yen has started to go back down, but is that really the beginning of the reversal? Yeah, franc yen's a tough one. Gotta really, really know what you're doing on that guy. Gotta really, really know what you're doing on that. Euro Aussie, that's kind of a fun pair. Look at what's going on here with Euro Aussie. Okay, we've got some lines going on down here from old charting. Yeah, that thing's just kind of taken off. What would we do here? What's here? I mean, look what happened here. That's kind of nice. That's a real nice. You know, you got some win off that. You got a nice win off that. That's a good win. That's a really, really nice win. That's a beautiful win right there. Of course, don't take it a second time. Don't take it. Look what happened. It would have been a loss. That's a nice win right there. What would I do here? Probably just wait for a little bit. I mean, we do have yeah, I mean, I'd be kind of looking to there. I wouldn't be looking at this one, wouldn't be looking at that one. Let's jump up to a 4-hour chart. Let's see what we got going up here. That could be a really good one. You get on a lower time frame, that's going to be a really nice level there. It's probably going to do a bit of a pullback here before it continues on its way. So you know, let's just leave it at that for now. We went through a few pairs, and hope you enjoyed that. I mean, there's lots of stuff that we have more to talk about in all of this. So much more. I mean, there's so much in these. So come on into the trading room, and we're going to teach you how to read these things in a live market environment. You might be looking at this like, yeah, well, how do we know if this is actually going to work? I mean, yeah, of course. I mean, how do you know? The point is that this is, I mean, and you're asking that because we're not doing this in a live market environment. See, we bring trading education in a live market environment so you can see right in the moment if that which we're saying is actually valid or not. And we're teaching you how to look at these pairs, look at this market condition, and know what to do in the moment, which is really pretty cool. It's a whole different ball game than maybe getting some market theory through a website or through a book or through a YouTube video that kind of tells you maybe after the fact. But we're talking about it in the moment, so you see right in front of your eyes if that which we're talking about actually works. That's kind of cool. So yeah, so join us in the trading room, and I'll see you in the next video.